British comedian and podcaster Russell Brand is in the news recently. He's being hit with charges of sexual abuse. Now, I don't know if he's guilty or not. I'd like to see the evidence and decide for myself, and hopefully this is investigated thoroughly and gets before a jury and gets us all wrapped up. So, setting that aside, I think it's interesting that this is coming up now. A lot of people are questioning the timing of these charges. Kind of reminds me of Bill Cosby. Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, this is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So like I said, Russell Brand, British comedian, is getting in hot water with 15-year-old charges he's getting hit with about sexual abuse. Now, it's no surprise to anyone who's followed Russell Brand that he had a sordid past. He doesn't hide from it. He talks about it in his book, that he was addicted to drugs and sex and alcohol and did all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, hell, come on, there's the only character he ever played on TV in the movies was a guy who was a sexual deviant and was hooked on drugs. It was pretty funny. The character was supposed to be funny. So that's no shock to anyone. But what is kind of surprising and makes people suspicious is that these charges are suddenly coming up now. It kind of reminds me personally of what happened to Bill Cosby when he spoke out in 2004, his famous pound cake speech, and how that changed the trajectory, can't even speak, changed the trajectory of his career back in 2004. If you don't remember the speech, I'm just going to play a little bit of it just so you get the feel for it, and I'll give you evidence that this speech is what was the catalyst behind him getting hit with the charges that ended up landing him in jail for a couple of years. So here we go, the pound cake speech.
In the old days, you couldn't book a school because behind every drawn shade was an eye. And before your mother got off the bus into the house, she knew exactly where you had gone, who had gone into the house. Parents don't know that today. I'm talking about these people who cry when their son is standing there in an orange suit. Where were you when he was 2? Where were you when he was 12? Where were you when he was 18? And how come you don't know he had a pistol? These are not political criminals. These are people going around stealing Coca-Cola. People getting shot in the back of the head over a piece of pound cake. And then we all run out and we're outraged. Oh, the cop shouldn't have shot him. What the hell was he doing with the pound cake in his hand?
See, that's part of it. That's part of the pound cake speech that I think got Bill Cosby on the radar of people like, I don't know, Jesse Jackson. Look at that face. You know, Bill Cosby was hitting the right notes when you could get that frown on Jesse Jackson's face. See, the deal is that speech back in 2004 was well received among the black community. We know there's problems in the black community. And we know a lot of them can be fixed by the black community. And that's basically what Bill Cosby was talking about. It's not white people. It's not cops. We have issues that we can correct. And that, I think, led to his downfall, that speech. It took years later, but it happened. And I'll show you my proof that what Bill Cosby, that 2004 speech, which I really highly recommend you check out the whole thing for yourself, read the transcript, download the entire video. It is more potent today than it was back then. But here's my evidence. This is back in 2015. The NPR showed The headline is The Cosby Revelation, How a Decade-Old Deposition Came to Light. And what the deposition was about, it was Bill Cosby was charged with sexual abuse, and he volunteered for, he submitted to a deposition. He said some things in there that might be incriminating, but they were sealed, promised to be sealed. Both sides agreed that whatever's in the deposition will never come to light and never be used against Bill Cosby. Well, then Judge Rob Reno, who handled the Associated Press's case to have the deposition unsealed, he thought otherwise. And he specifically points to the Bill Cosby speech back in 2004. When the AP, that's Associated Press, filed a request to have the documents unsealed, Cosby's attorneys objected, saying it would violate Cosby's right to privacy by making public, among other things, intimate knowledge about his sex life. Cosby's lawyer also argued that the release would embarrass Cosby and violate the confidentiality agreement signed by the two parties. Rob Reno dismissed all those arguments. Perhaps the most intriguing part is Rob Reno concluded that Cosby should be thought of more of a public servant. Previous courts have held that public servants or politicians give up some of the privacy protections afforded to regular citizens or even public figures. So how did Rob Reno make that leap? And it's a leap. He argued that while Cosby is clearly a public figure, when he talks about issues of public policy like unwed mothers, we can't talk about that, and crime, he becomes a public moralist, which, like it might for a public servant, opens him up to legitimate public scrutiny. So, there you go. That is proof that since Bill Cosby made that speech in 2004, he became a politician, he lost all his rights to privacy, and he was left open to criminal charges because of that, because the unsealed deposition. So he was punished for 2004, speaking out. I think the same thing might be happening to Russell Brand. He's being charged with allegations. These are allegations. So they haven't seen the light of day. We don't really know who these women are yet. We haven't heard the details of their view of what happened. Russell Brand has come out and categorically denied any of these charges. He said everything was consensual. So right now it's he said, she said. YouTube does not care. YouTube has already suspended Russell Brand's monetization of his channel on YouTube. That's unfair, in my opinion. Russell Brand, these charges should be investigated. I agree with that. I guess I have no clue whether he's guilty or not. But he should be treated innocent until proven guilty. So we shouldn't be doing like Minority Report, where we have pre-crime, and we have companies like YouTube already punishing someone because of an accusation. We don't want to go down that route where someone can just accuse you of something and all of a sudden punishment is coming outside of the court of law before you get to defend yourself. I don't just think that's wrong. And we could just see what YouTube is saying. He violated the creator responsibility policy. That's what they're saying, Russell Brand. What he violated. And specifically says, if a creator's off-platform behavior harms our users, employees, or ecosystem, we take action to protect the community. Okay. Oh, you didn't see that. Let me show you. I've been running my mouth and you haven't seen anything. So here we go to Yahoo News. YouTube suspends Russell Brand's his show amid sexual assault allegations. Not charges, not a guilty sentence or plea, but allegations. So like I said, we've suspended monetization of Russell Brand's channel for violating our creator responsibility policy. If a creator's off-platform behavior harms our users or employees or ecosystem, we take action to protect the community. So my question is, this off-platform behavior, does that include things that happened in the past? Because I think all these things happened 15 years ago. That's before Russell Brand started his channel. So I think it's a violation of the agreement that Russell Brand may have had with YouTube. And YouTube might be open for a lawsuit. At least I think they should. Because again, he has not been found guilty of anything yet. So let's have it investigate. Let's find out what's going on. Now, I think, like Bill Cosby, Russell Brand has been saying things that's gotten the attention of the powers that be. This has nothing to do about the women who may or may not be victims of Russell Brand's wildness when he, 15 years ago. I think it has more to do with things like this.
I love facts. I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness is our fundamental religion.
Yeah.
But they do pertain to this issue. So may I say some of them?
Please,
If they
please
inconvenience
do.
you, I'll stop saying them. The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds.
That's a nervous laugh from Bill Maher already, just 22 seconds in. Let's see how much Bill Maher can take him ragging on the industrial military complex and Pfizer.
Of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention, finally, and this is also a fact, that the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. It's difficult not to...
But I will just add one thing. It is possible that these are greedy capitalists who made a lot of money. Yes. And also, there are a lot of people who did need the vaccine.
How do we know that? How do we know their natural immune system wouldn't have been better than the vaccine? Because studies have shown that your natural immunity would have been better than the vaccine and the booster, any other booster, and one more booster.
Yes, there are a lot of people who did need the vaccine. I never wanted to be told I was one of them who had to take it. But there are lots of people who needed that vaccine and would be dead without it. That is true, too.
Okay, that's an argument of an appeal to authority, because Bill doesn't really provide any evidence that people would have died without the vaccine.
Bill,
that is true, too. More facts.
All I'm querying is this.
Yes.
Is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis, where the interests of ordinary people separate from the interests of the elite.
We do. We love facts. I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness is our fundamental religion.
Sorry about that. So anyway, he's right. Right now we're governing by emergencies. We still are taking off our shoes at the airport, even though the shoe bomber is like 100 years old. It happened a long time ago. We're just running from emergency to emergency to emergency. So Russell Brand is correct. Bill Maher looked like he dropped a load in his pants hearing him rip on the pharmaceutical industry and the military. But again, Russell Brand is right. And I think that's what has gotten him in trouble, in my humble opinion. Again, I am not trying to diminish the charges against him. I don't know if they're accurate or not. But the most important thing, I think, is the attempt to chill free speech is what's going on here. Russell Brand has been a wild person for a long time. He admits it, like I said, but only now they're they're trying to come up with these charges. And I think it has much more to do with the election coming up in 2024 and them needing to get as many people who are questioning the establishment, get them off the playing field. That's what I think this is about more than anything else. But time will tell. Hopefully this, again, the investigation is complete and they go to court and we get this all straightened out. But the biggest thing, I think this is, again, just an attempt to kill opposing voices and punish them. But that's my take on this. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.